My name is Craig Goldberg. I'm with In Harmony Interactive, and you're watching the Pursue Vegas podcast.
The idea of Pursue Vegas was to really highlight the local people that really make Vegas, Vegas.
I love that aspect of how these visionaries are actually bringing people together.
When we hit record, our responsibility is to connect the people of our city so we can show the world who we really are. Boom. I dig it. Right off the top. Well, welcome back to the Pursue Vegas podcast. I'm your host, Dave Berlin.
And I'm your co-host, Tony Wynn.
And you going to say it or you want me to say it?
No, I'm not going to say it.
I'm always going to say it. I am so excited.
I want it to be predictive. By this episode.
Predictive text.
Predictive text. When people can hear it without you saying it.
I'm enthusiastically excited. No, this is really great because we've had some incredible humans on the show in the past. One of my favorites was Tori Gordon, and I actually met Craig pseudo through the same network. It's that miracle place over at the podcast studio at the Wynn. But I was at one of the events there for when David Meltzer was filming, and we met, and we have been
2 years ago.
That's been 2 years ago.
Been 2 years.
So welcome to the show. Tell us about you. Tell us about what you're excited about. Just all things Craig, my friend.
Well, first of all, I appreciate being here. Thank you for having me. I am also unbelievably enthusiastically excited about being here. And let's touch the world. So, look, the biggest message I think that I can get out for folks is teaching people about the nervous system, talking about stress and anxiety. I think as a culture and a society, we are unbelievably spun out. Unbelievably stressed and anxious.
He keeps looking at me when he says that.
No.
I'm just kidding. No, we all are.
Right?
No, we all
it's
are.
all vibes here.
We just met.
Yeah.
Maybe
So,
that's why I'm sitting a little bit further.
Yeah.
Look, it's about managing stress and anxiety. It's about teaching people about the power of sound and vibration. That's what In Harmony does. That's what my business is all about. That's what we teach and preach on a regular basis, is about how we as humans can manage our own stress and anxiety so that we can be the best versions of ourselves every single day. Because I think we all wake up wanting to do our best, be our best, share our best, be the best husband, be the best wife, be the best father, the best child, the best son, daughter, whatever. Yeah. And stress and anxiety gets in the way. Yeah. So how can we help to manage that so that we can be the best versions of ourselves every single day and strive to whatever it is to serve, whatever it is that you want to contribute to society, how can we perform at our best?
You know, there's two really interesting things about that. One, we're in Las Vegas, and yes, this is like the nucleus of rage and entertainment. Yeah. But there's also such a powerful healing community here. Yeah. Right. That and again, we're part of the Wolf Pack, but there's so many of those circles that start to interlock
more and more.
So the fact that you're doing it here, one, is remarkable, but two, how did you even get into this in the first place?
All right. Before I get to that, let's talk first about Vegas, because you're right. I think when I tell people that I live in Vegas, they're like, "Really, you live in Vegas?
Yeah. Which hotel do you live in?
Right? Like, what do you do? You're on the Strip every day. You're partying. Like, how do you keep up?"
And I'm Sapphire like, every night.
Dude, I'm on the Strip like once a month. Yeah. You know, and once you get off the Strip, most people don't realize that Vegas is a bustling town. Yeah. And it's just like any town USA. We got Walmart, we got Target, we got all the chains and all the stores. There's never any traffic. We have one of the best international airports in the country. Yep. Like, there's so many great reasons for us to be living here in Vegas outside of the Strip.
Preach.
And we have the Strip. Yeah. Right? So we all know I've got a pretty big network of friends and family. Yeah. Everybody comes to Vegas at least once a year for a bachelor party, a trade show, a conference, a trip, or whatever.
Getaway.
So we get to see everybody here.
I got a text at 1 a.m. this morning.
Oh, those are my favorite.
And it's, "Hey, I'm in town for the whatever concrete show."
Totally.
I'm like, "When do you leave?" "Thursday." "Great. We have dinner set tonight." This guy was in my book club before I left Oklahoma 6 years ago. Yeah. And we met at, there was a group of 8 guys that met every Friday morning at 5 a.m.
Awesome.
And after I left, 6 of those guys kept meeting.
It's great.
And I haven't seen him in 5 years.
So I'm going to share with you, because I get those texts, right? Yep. I think living in Vegas, we're all kind of susceptible to like inbound, like, "Oh, cool, when are you coming in?" You're like, "Dude, I land in 20 minutes. You're like, "Okay, cool, thanks for the heads up, appreciate it." So here's my rule, because I think this is a really important rule and a boundary that I set, because I think boundaries are really important. I don't care how long you're here. As long as you're here, my front door, it's always open.
Yeah.
You can come in whenever you want. I'm there. I'm creating content. I'm hanging out. I'm with my family, with my wife, whatever it is. My door's always open. Come hang out all day, all night, whatever. You want me to come to the Strip? You get 3 hours. Your entire trip.
That's it.
That's it.
That's great.
Oh, you just articulated it so much better.
Any
said
3
it.
hours.
He said it. We're all feeling it.
Right? All right. So, look, any 3 hours you want.
Yeah.
You want me to figure out after hours? I'll figure out after hours. You want to do dinner, breakfast, lunch,
Yeah.
whatever. But as soon as I walk in that door, this clock starts. 3 hours later, I'm out. Might be an Irish goodbye, depending on what's going on.
My favorite.
I'm not getting pulled into the energy of your trip.
Yeah.
You're on vacation,
Yeah.
and this is my life that I got to lead.
I'm gonna caveat that.
Yeah.
And it's like, one, I definitely appreciate the get pulled into your trip where you don't know how to do anything and everyone's
Well, it's
never on time.
One thing after another. After we're going here, we're going
dinner,
there.
It's this,
But
it's
Totally.
this
you
show,
said
it's that
you
show.
said 3 hours as you walk in the door. For me, it's 3 hours when I park because we get 3 hours free parking as residents.
It may or may not correlate to that. I
Talk
mean,
about
that's-
logistics. It's
Yeah.
really 2.5 hours for me. But
Right. Well,
the
it's a
walking,
half-hour
yeah.
walk. Yeah, I get
Like
it.
the
I
walk.
get
No,
it.
and I love that. And so this is funny because there was a really hard thing that when pandemic happened, there was this miracle app that for people like us, it helped a lot of people. It was Clubhouse.
Yep.
And a lot of people got on Clubhouse. And I remember it's still funny because even though the app's changed, my bio is still there. And it says, if you're coming to Vegas, I will offer to pick you up at the airport.
I love that.
Or drop you off.
Yeah.
It could be one or the other. And then if for some reason that doesn't add up, then I'd love to, catch coffee or food. And sometimes that doesn't add up, but I'll at least give you recommendations. I always think it's like our responsibility, or at least for me,
The host.
to make sure that they have a friendly face and somebody that makes Vegas feel like a little piece of home, like they belong here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, at least for me, that's my tax for the community, and I love it. But there's been times where people can be less than a mile away and things just don't work out, and I won't even get to see them.
Yeah, the schedule. I mean, look, everybody drops into that strip energy and their conference and their trade show and what they've got to do, and it doesn't always align.
And they're like, "Well, just walk."
And they're
it's not that
overly
far.
ambitious about how many things they can do.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Well, it's
They're
not
like,
that
we got
far.
this
We'll
thing
just
from
walk
this
down.
time. We got dinner here. We got the
always
show.
that far.
Then
Right
we can
next
see
door.
you for this window. And I'm like, that sounds exhausting. Like even for me, because
Yeah.
I have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm coming in. You want to be my +1 to a wedding? I'm like, cool. 3-hour
Yeah.
rule.
It's-
I'm like, but I'm
it
not staying
works.
for the after
It's
party.
4,000
But I've never
steps to
heard
get
it
out of your hotel.
like somebody else's mouth before. Because I've offered my place. I've picked a friend up. They're like, oh, can we stay with you? And I don't tell them where I live, obviously, because security reasons. And they actually live
call.
at my house. They took an Uber. They're like, you don't live in Vegas. I'm like, oh, I don't. I live in Henderson. But surprise!
Yeah.
Henderson, Summerlin, Vegas,
Yeah, so, So one of my friends, she thought she could stay at my house and like go to EBC and do all the the Vegas-y things. And she's like, yeah, we're gonna go to the club and this and that.
20 minutes,
She finds
20
out where I
minutes.
live, and I'm like, I don't do the whole nightlife thing, but I'm happy to like get you an Uber and like set you up at my
Yeah.
house. Here's a room. She stayed one night. She didn't last.
Yeah.
Because
So I'm
those
10
are the
minutes off the
people-
strip. I told my wife I want to live close to the airport, close to the strip. I actually love picking people up from the airport. It's like one of my favorite things to do.
So
I also,
easy.
call me weird, I like helping people move.
Yeah.
I got a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you need help, I'd love to help you move because I feel like those are the points in
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
where we get to connect
Yeah.
and where people just don't get that help and support.
Yeah.
It's one way where I could serve, and it's a little different. Nobody likes helping people move.
Yep.
I do.
That's what me too. Same.
Yeah. Anything I
I
can
think
do.
I have to move now just to test
Well,
it.
Well, let's go.
And
I'll help.
we talked about this. We talked about this when we had Tori on the show, and that's been something remarkable that's happened from the Wolf Pack. It's like anytime somebody's moving, it's like 30 people show
all
up,
hands on deck.
and it's just like,
Yeah.
how long would this have taken? Oh, it would have taken 6 hours.
Many
we did
hands
it in
make light
60
work.
minutes.
Yeah, let's go.
I paid movers. It was like $300.
I like to
2
pay
hours.
movers. That's
'Cause
beneficial.
I didn't
But
have
you
any friends
still
here.
have,
Yeah.
you still have things that you don't want the movers to move.
Yeah.
You still
Yeah.
have a couple runs that you're going to make before moving day or after moving
Yeah,
day.
I moved twice since I've been in Vegas, and that was kind of a nightmare because I was kind of by myself. I had like my gym and all that stuff, so I hired movers. I didn't make any real friends out here. Apparently, that really tested my souls. I guess that day I was like sitting in my car and I was like driving stuff back and forth in my little like compact car, and I'm like, oh, like if only I had a friend right now.
Hey,
That-
Dave
that
can
was
link
a-
us up. I'm
Right.
happy to
That
help
was
where I
pre,
can.
talking to you guys. Dave, like, so that's why it's kind of funny. It's revealing almost. It's confronting for me in that moment to be like, I gotta make some friends out here.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like a lonely
I think
journey
it's-
out here.
It can be. It can
Yeah.
be. And I think to kind of the earlier where we were going with this, for me to live here with the spiritual connection that I have, with the mentality, the conscious approach that I take to life and what I've been learning in health and wellness and all the different things that I do to teach people about how to live life to their fullest. Because it's not just about sound and vibration.
Yeah.
It's about sunlight. It's about getting good sleep. It's about getting your feet on the ground, eating clean food. There's a lot of different aspects that go into living that healthy lifestyle that the Strip has not much of. Even the healthiest of healthy. Even the most decorated celebrity chefs, they're not using the best ingredients. Right? So it's not easy necessarily to find that healthy food here, but I like showing people how we can do that. And being that guide. To go back to your question of how I got into this, or even before that, there are many conscious groups here that are popping up. So if you think about what happens on the Strip, it's some of your darkest days potentially. You literally have every potential sin that you can perform is there, and it's right in your face, and it's easy, and that's what Vegas is really all about: the alcohol, the sex, the drugs. It's all kind of happening. The gambling. It's all happening right there. To counter that, the yin yang, there is as much light workers, as many light workers here as there are people that are kind of forcing that dark hand, and they're popping up all over the place.
Yeah, and not just the number of them, but like these are warriors of the light, man. I mean, like some powerful
I go to
people.
the Strip, and I will be sitting down at a bar. I don't drink alcohol anymore, but I'll be sitting down at a bar, and I'll just be having a conversation, waiting for somebody to meet, talking to a bartender, talking to a wait staff. And inevitably, I will pick up a conversation with the person next to me, and it's somebody that I need to meet, something that is aligned, or they'll pick up something on my person, sacred geometry, or a code of some sort. And it'll be somebody that's there to work in the light.
That's cool.
It's awesome.
How long have you been here?
I've been here since 2019, but I've been coming here for 35, 40 years.
Gotcha. And then what was the thing that pulled you here in 2019?
So my wife helped open up Area 15. The store Wild Muse that's in there was a store that she helped. She was employee number 8, getting that place off the ground.
Nice.
The founders are good friends of ours. One of them was at my wedding 11 years ago at this point.
Nice.
We were really excited about that project. Still are. It's a beautiful place. It's great people that are doing great things. But that's ultimately what kept us here. Before that, we were actually living full-time in a motorhome, traveling around the country, taking In Harmony products to the country. Because of what we do, it's so experiential, which I'm sure we'll get into. Until you really experience it, you don't appreciate it. And I can't find the words to explain what our technology is like for you until you experience it in your first-person perspective of what sound and vibration can do to the body.
Yeah, it's interesting because I just did like a testimonial, right? It was over at Meltzer's studio. I've sat in your all of them multiple times. But yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's very transcendental, right? It's like it just helps you just let go. Like there's what I really love about, Tori and people that use the power of words can take you very far. But the energy and the vibrations that you create, that experience helps. So if the combination of all of that is it's miraculous.
So I'll answer the question you asked, which I haven't yet, which is how did I get into this? And I was a stressed and anxious guy living in New York, traveling around, trying to deal with the pace of life. Just being a law-abiding citizen, I think, in this society has too much to do in a day. You just can't get all the things done that we need to get done. And I needed an outlet, a way that I can manage that. It was drugs and alcohol for a long time when I was in New York. And as you begin to get older, you begin to slow down, you begin to realize that it's not serving your best and highest, greatest good. You look for, and I think that's one of the most beautiful aspects of what's happening in the world right now. Literally, we are sitting at the precipice, sitting at the beginning of another renaissance in health and wellness, where more and more people are looking for ways that they can take their own health into their own hands. I just did a blood draw. It was with Function Health. They take a blood draw twice a year. They look at 100+ different markers. When you go for that annual checkup, they're looking at 19 markers. They really can't tell a whole lot about what's happening in your blood. Now, all of a sudden, we have services that are more than affordable that will look at a deeper deep dive, a bigger deep dive into what's happening in your overall health and wellness. That renaissance is happening across the board. Red light therapy, vibroacoustic therapy, hyperbaric, PEMF. All of these different technologies are available to us in ways that they haven't been in the past and at price points that make it truly affordable. And more Americans are saying, maybe I don't need this health insurance plan, or I don't need this preventative solution. Catastrophic is important. I love the medical system. I love our doctors and nurses and frontline workers. They're all phenomenal for acute injuries and issues. But for the maintenance, more and more Americans are suffering from chronic ailments. And from my perspective, where that all stems from at the core is stress and anxiety.
Yeah. Well, then it's fueled by bad food. We had
further exacerbated for sure.
Yeah, we had you nailed it, by the way. It's just that was a really relevant conversation. We had our friend Erica on the show, and we were joking about a TikTok, and it was like what the joke between the Chinese and America. Like what's the joke?
Americans eat like they have free health care.
Yeah.
And we talked about that.
And we don't.
And it was literally just like
is about high quality food.
So look, here's the cool part about it, right? So there's 10 pillars to life, and 2 of them are access to clean water, which you cannot find. There's a great website that I used as I was traveling the country called findaspring.com. You can literally plug in your location, find a spring, and drink that water. Unfortunately, that water has to be filtered.
Yeah.
They're spraying so much shit in the atmosphere. They're doing so much geoengineering, so much weather manipulation.
Yep.
All of those elements are falling onto the soil and tainting our food, and they're tainting our water supply. As far as food, it's really hard to get clean food. When a corporation is cooking for you, they're always going to use more sugar, more salt, more oils, more vegetable oils, and things that really are not conducive to a healthy lifestyle. Likewise, with water, you have to filter your water. And from a food perspective, it came from a box, eat less of it. It comes from the earth, eat more of it.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, get rid of the seed oils.
Closer
and those
to
things.
one as possible.
What we are about to see happen from the top down of our government with what RFK is instituting, and we've already started to see in the tail end of the last administration, we are going to see a renaissance in health and wellness. Just taking red dye number 5 was just banned. We're going to see yellow dye. We're going to see blue dye. We're going to see green dye. We're going to see all these different things removed from, as well as seed oils, vegetable oils, highly processed oils that just clog up the body's performance. That's all going to be gone. So it's just not going to be on the shelves anymore. You're just not going to have that to choose from any longer. So even the quick fast foods, fast energy sources that we look for on the go aren't going to have those ingredients in it anymore. We're going to see a dramatic uptick in the quality of life that we're living here. To your point with TikTok and China and these other countries, we don't have a great healthcare system.
Yeah, but it was funny how we riff about this all the time and we joke. It's like all the processed food. It's like, what are they trying to do? But at what point is that there's an uptake, kind of like we have to rebel against the way that it's been going since the 60s and the 70s
now.
Of how the cigarette companies kind of converted into food manufacturing companies just to build a line of workers and just to indoctrinate people and the way they think, the way they spend their time, the way they raise their children. Like those are some of the things I love talking about because it's kind of like this is the year that we call it. People wake the fuck up, and it's here, and I'm just so excited for it, and that's what I'm excited for.
Well, it starts with the collective consciousness first, right? And like I was reading Young Pueblo. He wrote a book called Lighter. He does mostly poetry books, but Lighter is like more of a full form book.
Yes.
And he said right now, because of the access to all of this information in the masses, we have more of a collective conscious now than we ever have. Like we may have in the past, but it wasn't so communicated. Yeah. I love what he calls social media. He says social media is a forum where humanity talks to itself.
Yes.
And that is what's capturing the truth of it's as good or bad. Your algorithms, my algorithms, your for you, whatever, it's all there, and it's all proof that there's connection. Yeah. But whenever the right stars align, right, and it's the positive, we really do have that energy shifting in that direction, and then everything else starts to kind of correct with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the devil's advocate side of that is I love how accessible therapy talk and everything has been available to people in the last 5 to 10 years. Yeah. But at one point, I think maybe a couple years ago, I think it was just mass produced in a way to where people think that looking at a TikTok or looking at, some carousel, whatever it's called, is going to therapy. I'm like, it's not the same.
No, you got to do ketamine too.
Like nervous system regulation, right?
No, look, therapy is therapy.
When you brought that up, like nervous regulation is
There is something highly addictive about these algorithms, okay? Look, this is somebody, I produce a ton of content, right? And I've got an amazing team that helps me create that content. We're doing it right now, and we're going to slice this up, and we're going to put it out. I go onto the networks and the platforms just to look for my own stuff, to like it, to comment on it, to participate in the conversations that are happening on my posts. And I get served an algorithm that just knows exactly what I want. Last night I was waiting for my film crew because I got a crew in town. I'm shooting tomorrow. I'm shooting Friday, and I'm waiting for Andrew, our director, to come back and producer to come back. And I'm just sitting there flipping through YouTube, and I'm watching. I have an RV. I like to pull things with my truck. It's just serving me these videos of hot shots talking about 2500 Rams, which is what I have. Like, it just knows. How does it know? Well, obviously our devices are constantly listening to us. They're listening to the keywords that we're using and serving us content that hopefully serves us well. It's the big TikTok conversation that's happening right now is in TikTok in China, they're not listening and seeing the same things. They're being served things that fill their cup instead of things that distract them. And that, I think, is just a function to your point. The algorithm is programmed to give us what we ask it, what we like, what we thumb stop on. It's something my social media team, we look at on a regular basis. What is the thumb stop percentage? How fast and how often do we stop the thumb from scrolling? It's literally a metric.
That's a real thing?
It is literally a metric that social media serves to you. So I can see a rating that says 0.75, 75% of the time when this ad comes, it stops somebody from scrolling. So they watch 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 8 seconds of my video. The algorithm is what's driving all that. So just by what you stop to watch, whether it's a car crash, whether it's somebody falling off roller skates, whether it's somebody bicycling into a closed, barricade, and which, look, that stuff's entertaining. I was a kid too.
But it
I've
drives
fallen off a bike or
like
two.
crazy, and I think that's where people act from.
Yeah.
I think that's, when you're talking about nervous system, it's
you're nailing it, right? It's not just cortisol. It's dopamine. It's serotonin. It's all of these other hormones that are so powerful that give us this hit that just goes, well, I want more. Dopamine was originally designed in the human body so that when you were walking on the plains and you saw an apple tree or you got a whiff of some food, that dopamine hit would say, I want to move towards that. And as you get closer and closer and closer to that target, you get another dopamine hit and another dopamine hit. So with each step, you're being taken closer.
Like, oh, this is even better than it smells.
And then it explodes totally. But now we're getting that same thing through social media. We're getting that same thing through watching things that might not be so supportive to our highest and best good and rewarding that process. And yes, it can all be changed by the algorithm. It can all be changed from the top down. But why would they do that when it's keeping eyeballs on their platform?
People don't, your body can't tell the difference because it's chemically made. And once, I've been off social media for about a year.
Congratulations.
Just to test. Kind of like
How's
I'm running. It's going great because I've been working on my addiction cycle from alcohol for 2 years, drugs for 3 years, porn for about 4 years. And it's just really hard to understand where my dopamine was coming from, and it's not all the same. So now I don't even have the craving to go back on social media. I turned my phone black and white for like 6 months.
It's great.
So I had zero interest of like, I'm like, what does it really do to me?
How well that works.
And it's crazy.
Right? Going monochrome is great.
They're like, check your Instagram. I'm like, So that's why when I talk to people that they're like chasing this thing, I'm like, it's your dopamine driver. Like they're like, I feel dead inside. I'm like, because you're getting it so much. Like the first thing you do when someone opens their eyes is look on their phone and like go on Instagram. I'm like, what is it that you're looking for? They're like, oh, this whole dippy culture and going outside. I'm like, and they're like, well, you don't answer your phone. I'm like, like give yourself boundary, an hour in the morning, an hour at night, nothing but yourself, your thoughts. Write it out. Like, do whatever you want. Spend time by yourself.
I'll tell you, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is check my phone.
Well, and they say that whatever you do first, like, you crave that all day. Now,
so I do it for different reasons.
Gotcha.
Okay, so most people that are sitting in my position, right, as far as being an expert on peak performance, would tell you, leave your phone alone for the first hour and a half of the day and put it down. We live here on the West Coast. I have teams overseas. All of my teams that are overseas are hours ahead of me and wrapping up their day. If I wait an hour and a half from my eyes open around 6:30, 7 o'clock, their day's over.
Yeah.
So I scan Telegram, I scan Slack, I scan my emails, anything that I need to make a quick decision on.
Yeah.
I make that quick decision. I get that communication out. My wife, my daughter know, hey, Dad's on his phone. It's probably work related. Let's see what he's got going on. Then I put my phone down and I have an hour and a half dedicated to my daughter, my wife, and my household. Oh, awesome. And that 5-10 minutes.
I've seen it. It's real.
That 5-10 minutes, it allows me to sit there without more anxiety building of I'm missing something.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, an hour and a half later, I get this message like, oh man, 5 minutes and I could have gotten something done 8 to 10 hours earlier without going through their night.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's a, because we're working with people from like the Philippines and stuff. So when I first started on that, like I work on East Coast time, so I do much better at like 6 in the morning. I don't have that long, like 2-3 hour morning routine as the gurus are like, go outside, have your tea and all this stuff. I'm like, then I lose all of my productivity. They're like, how do you actually wake up in the morning? I'm like, I go straight to my computer and I get shit done for like 2 to 3 hours.
Look, Alex Hormozy says it best, right? Like you wake up when
like,
you're most
make
productive.
my bed.
I'm most productive in the morning.
Yeah.
Look, I'm fortunate. I got a little puppy now, so I walk my puppy. I do that barefoot. My feet are on the ground. Sun shines on my face. I get that done and out of the way right away. Then I come back. I'm on my phone. I check a couple things, and then I'm on to my morning routine, and then ultimately to my day. But I want the first hour and a half to be dedicated to my family.
Yeah.
And I think anybody that has children, especially if they have a morning routine that they need to stay on, that you're trying to ingrain in them, you really got to stay focused on that. And you really got to make sure that you're dedicating and serving them, and then it's my time.
Well, that's going to carry them for so much more of their life. Like,
absolutely.
People make jokes all the time because I still wake up really early. I have ever since I was in the Marine Corps, and that just became a habit.
Yeah.
Right. And so however we start our day is how we, in a sense, start our life.
You got to make your bed, right? Or was that general that said that
like,
make
if you
your
make
bed
your
in the
bed,
morning?
are you going to make $1 million extra a year
I don't really
or
agree with that, but I do get the idea of how you start your day is how your day is going to go. My daughter doesn't have a problem waking up at 6:30 in the morning. She literally stands at the feet of her bed and she's like, it's time to wake up. Everybody get up. And me and my wife are like, oh man, we were up late. Let's go. All right, we got this.
No, that's awesome. We make the joke on the shows like, where are the real men here? Because once you bring up the consciousness and everything, there's just the other side of evil. It's like there's a lot of spiritual fuckboys that are beginning to emerge as a way to attract spiritual women, and like that's a whole different conversation. But I love how we've been talking about like emotional regulation and like nervous system regulation. And that's becoming more of like a science, like a grounded science. It's not just like foo-foo language and spirituality and just like
science is actually really clear. You're talking about the masculine. And in this country, I think we've got a big problem with the masculine being subdued. And not even a feminine that's coming out, but a masculine, a man that has been so emasculated that they have been pushed down and forced into a corner of what they should be. And they're not there showing off that masculine. That's to protect. It's to provide. It's to take responsibility and ownership. It's to be decisive. It's to be strong and powerful in your own thought pattern. And unfortunately, so many men have had that stripped away from them that they feel naked and bare inside. And they feel as though they can't vocalize or voice that out there in public. And that's a societal thing that I also think we're going to start to see shift in the near term.
Well, there's two things at work. It's that and the roles have changed. Like the roles changing. This was a conversation that happened in one of the groups, right? It was like, we run in circles with a lot of very strong, powerful women, and when they choose to date, whoever they choose to date, they're not choosing them for bank accounts or anything like that. They're choosing that for their time. But some guys have a problem with that, or it brings up challenges. What's interesting there is that it just takes a lot more communication, right? It's not only the communication that was already hard before because people are kind of disengaged, but you have to get through that, and you have to like be willing to like really mess up because it's the roles are changing, and like you have to butt heads with it, and it's like, oh, can we get past this? And a lot of times people feel like one big thing.
So this goes back to what you were talking about as far as conditioning. It goes back to Rockefeller. It goes back to when the educational system was created. It was created to create factory workers. It was created to get us to sit in a seat and teach us how to clock in, clock out, how to answer tests and answer questions.
And not question anything.
It's useless now, right? In a lot of ways. My daughter's not going to college. She can if she wants to. She'll have a fund where we'll pay for college and it'll be prepared. She's already started saving at 4.5.
Yeah.
Nice.
for like life experiences.
She's going to use that money. My daughter's not. I mean, she doesn't know this yet, but I'm pulling her out of kindergarten. She starts kindergarten next year. She's going to be unschooled. Right? I'm going to teach her, and I'm going to create the time that I need in order to teach her, I believe, the life skills are that she'll need. She's 4.5. We just got back from 22 days driving across the country. It was 22 days of concentrated quality time between me, my wife, and my daughter, and our dog. And we were sitting in an RV park somewhere in Mississippi or Alabama. There really wasn't much between Florida and Texas as far as people to meet. So we would literally just drive until we were done driving, go to an RV park, hang out, and we're sitting in my RV. And my daughter and I riffed for 30 minutes about this imaginary business that she had. Now, my daughter spends a lot of time with me when she's not in Montessori school, and she's listening to conversations that I'm having. I'm an entrepreneur. My phone rings. I answer it. I'm on 7 days a week, basically 24/7. I have boundaries. I do those things. But for the most part, if a client calls, I want to answer. I want to talk to them, especially if it's quick. My daughter listens to that conversation. She was picking up on all of it. And we were riffing for 30 minutes. My wife recorded 13 minutes of it, and I saw her behind me with the camera, and I'm like, how much of that did you get? She was like, about 13 minutes. It is the most amazing content. That is my daughter. She's 4.5. By the time she's 10 or 11, she's going to have her own business. I'm going to help her build something. I'm going to have something in her name. She already has a bank account. She's already earning by creating content with me. She loves my technology. She's on it all the time. I snap pictures of her. We put it up on her social media. She gets compensated for that.
That's cool.
It's remarkable what they absorb when they're given that. And to our point before, these institutions are really trying to ingrain people into that factory lifestyle, which doesn't exist anymore. It's just not. When I was a kid, it was go to college, get a degree, figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life, and get a job. I'm an entrepreneur for 25 years.
For the rest of your life until you're 65.
I don't want to work for somebody else
pension
for 2 weeks vacation a year. All of this is starting to shift and change. I will say, my wife was valedictorian of high school and college. She only knew until she met me. She didn't understand the risk of an entrepreneur. She didn't even understand how to start a business. Now she has her own business. She's running it. She's operating it. She has several and will continue to. But she's drawn back to, well, that paycheck is, maybe I need to go back into corporate America. And I'm like, why would you do that? 8-10 hours a day out of the house, away from this, away from what we've built here. It's challenging to break that mold. And we are starting to see that change. I will tell you this. We can also point towards the mass media. We can point towards our culture and our society of forcing women and pushing women into the workforce and creating an environment where my kid is now being raised by their teachers. They're now being raised by daycare. I'm not spending quality time. To a point where even now, my daughter at 4.5 years old, she wants nothing more than to sleep in our bed at night. And my wife is, bless her beautiful heart, is pushing her into her own bed. And I'm like, I just want my daughter to feel loved and safe. I want her as close to me as she needs. I slept with my daughter last night, all night. I want my daughter to feel safe and loved. And if that's what she needs, then I'm going to sleep with her. Because let me tell you, at some point, she's going to push me out of that bed. She's going to be like, no, Dad, I don't need you to sleep with me anymore. I don't want you here.
And that'll be the day that breaks your heart.
Totally. I got 14 summers left with my daughter. I want as much time with her as I can possibly get. Something like 95% of the time you spend with your children happens before they're 18. I want to soak that up. I want as much of that as I can get because she's gone when she's gone. And I hope she isn't. But society has changed a lot over the last 250, 300 years. As far as
changed
how
a lot
we spend.
just in the last.
We picked a hell of a time to incarnate
So
on this
when we
earth.
talk about, women and pushing them back into the workforce and the whole feminism thing, like I have a whole riff on that, like how it was created. But I think why women, hyper independent women, are so mad now is because they're finally waking up to like the roles of wanting to feel feminine, and they're getting mad because there's no real men anymore that can lead, that can take control of things, because women have to stand up because so many of these men went probably to war and battles like their own PTSD. So a lot of these men that you mentioned are subdued are raised by women. So they had to carry both the masculine role and the feminine role. They don't know how to be a woman because they took care of the house, they made the money, they raised the kids, if they could raise the kid, and like they're handing them off, pawning them off to just other people that are just servants to a country that set a set of rules that are not it doesn't exist anymore.
Look, it's all perfect, right? Like how we got here is perfect.
Yeah.
And how we grow together is also perfect. And that's a big piece of it.
Yep.
Is how do we establish those roles, communicate effectively, like you said before, and talk about how we're going to show up in that relationship. And every relationship is different and every household is different. My mom and my dad are still together. My dad's actually coming out here next week.
Nice.
My mom raised me. She was a full-time mom. I was a headache. I was a handful. I required full-time attention. Even though I went to public school and I was gone until 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that was my mom's role, and she loved it.
Yeah.
She was excited to do it.
Yeah.
I grew up in the garment district. My dad and my grandfather cut and sew factory in New York City. My mom and my dad met in the garment district. My mom used to sell bathing suits. She left that job when I was born, and she just wanted to raise my sister and I. Times have changed. It's not quite exactly like that.
Yeah.
And now I'm actually looking forward to teaching my daughter.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to creating time and space for me to teach her, along with so many of these online programs that are now available to homeschooling or unschooling parents that want to teach their children a different way from the curriculum that these mass institutions are teaching. And we're watching that renaissance happen too. It's pretty exciting.
No, I love this whole thing with institution. You know, I'm a huge homeschool person. I grew up in private school and I taught at a college level. And I'm like, what are these kids really learning? Like, no one has really soft skills or just social skills.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of like, I got to obey and I got to be blindly obedient to the system that's going to produce and give me a piece of paper. And I'm like, well, that doesn't guarantee you any financial security or job security, because this is not what you're meant to do, because you're out of alignment with what you actually want to do. You know,
We've watched this happen in our lifetime, and that gives us a very different perspective.
Yeah.
I remember when I didn't have a cell phone in my pocket.
Yep.
I remember when I just had
we're
one
the
phone
greatest
line at home.
generation.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So good.
I was
That's
just
what they
talking.
say.
I was just
Playing
talking
with
to my
rocks,
friends.
outside.
I just watched Fight Club. I just bought Fight Club for the 4th time
Nice.
because I bought it on VHS.
Yeah.
Then I bought it on Blu-ray.
Yep.
Then I bought it on DVD DVD, then Blu-ray,
Yep.
and now I just bought it through Apple TV
Oh, yeah.
streaming.
Yeah.
I bought it 4 times.
Yeah.
There's no other generation that's going to say that.
No, they don't even know. Yeah, they like, what is this thing? Yeah.
You still carry around
What's
your
a
boombox.
landline?
Well-
You got a boombox here or what? That's what I'm talking about.
You know. Well, but no, to that point, and this is my story part, but it's interesting. When I chose to go to the Marine Corps, I went in 2000. 2000, there's something very interesting that was happening there, because we all lived in the barracks just like all Marines do now, but we literally had foot lockers full of VHS tapes.
Yeah.
And then it was like my roommate Chaz, he was one of the first people that got the most DVDs, and he had just 40,
Rented them out.
40 of them. He had 40 DVDs, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, this guy's like the movie guy."
Classics.
Because he had 40.
Damn.
And it's like now people have 4,000 things.
We have access to Netflix for $9
Exactly.
a month, $12 a month, $15, whatever they're charging
Exactly.
for it these days. I don't know.
But yeah, to your point, and I'm 44, but I was one of the first people in my age group that had a cell phone. But it's because I worked at a funeral home. I worked at a funeral home when I was 18 years old, 1998, and it was
I had a
pay by the
StarTAC.
minute.
I
Pay
had
by
a
the minute,
StarTAC.
yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
So
The
yeah,
flip phone.
it is very
Yeah,
interesting.
the
I had
Nokia
pagers
Snake.
too. Yeah, I had pagers too.
I did too. I had the 2-way pager. I
Yep.
remember that. I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't have any quarters. Couldn't call you back.
Yeah.
She's like, come on. Anyway.
Just come home when the street lights turn on. or
Totally.
something. That was the rule.
I had to be within a cat call of my mom's voice.
Yeah.
If I got too far that I couldn't hear my mom's voice from the front door, I was in trouble.
Yep.
That's a wild
Where did you
thing.
grow up?
Long Island.
Oh,
I had a beautiful neighborhood with beautiful
see that,
houses.
yeah.
I had a very nice childhood, but I was predominantly playing in the 51 houses of my neighborhood outside. And as long as I stayed in that neighborhood, I could hear my mom screaming my name at the front door.
It's crazy when I really look back. I remember I was 5 years old on ATVs and stuff, growing up in the country.
That's what outside.
Yeah,
Getting
outside.
hurt.
Yeah, just outside.
I got 2 phone
money.
calls in the last 2 days from my daughter's school for incidents that happened at the playground. Yesterday, she was cleaning up toys. She bumped heads with somebody else. We had to fill out an incident report. We had to call you to notify. When I see Montessori, when I see that school on my phone, I am like, what happened now?
Yeah.
Right? Today, same thing. She was outside on the playground. She slipped on a toy. The toy came back and hit her in the chin, and incident report filled out. My wife gets really like when it's the school. Is everything okay? What's going on? And I'm like, they just have to fill out an incident report. There were no incident reports when I was a kid. Yeah. I would come back with new scars, new scratches, new cuts. My mom would be like, what happened at school today? Yeah. The nurse wasn't calling my mom unless I was deathly ill or there was something really going on. I need to be picked up.
For their protection to like not get sued because they alerted you, because back then, we're covered in like cuts and bruises and falling off trees and shit.
They gave us cuts and bruises. They get corporal punishment. Like, hey, he was acting up in school.
Country, man.
We beat his ass. We didn't even tell you.
As long as we didn't lose your daughter, like she's probably fine up in a tree somewhere.
Look, I would leave, to your point before, I would leave on a Saturday morning. My parents would push me out the door and say, come back when the street light comes on. That's a very real thing that happened when we were kids. They had no idea where I was. And I said to my parents not too long ago, because I got a 4.5-year-old. First 6 months of her life, I can't even tell you how many times I'd call my parents and just be like, I'm so sorry. And they'd be like, what'd she do now? Right? Like, what reflection did you get back of something in your childhood that you were like, I am so sorry. I was such a dick. So difficult. The reality is, I would leave in the morning and my parents had no idea where I was. And I said to my mom, like, who's now caring for her grandkids, like, I don't even let my daughter play in my cul-de-sac without me being out front, let alone go out. Now, granted, she's 4.5. She's not 15, 16, 12, whatever. But, like, how did you deal with not knowing where we were? And she would say to me, like, it was a different time. We just didn't even think about you not being there. You always came home. You were always fine. And if not, we get the phone call. And look, the police called my parents on numerous occasions. And they were like, hey, we have your son. And they're like, where is he now? Like,
well, that's how we got street smarts and like emotional intelligence 100%. And like social skills, because we were 100%. Out on the streets kind of like hunter-gatherer like mode and just figuring out on our own.
Oops. Won't do that again. Not going to do that
again.
Now
the kids are glued to their phone because they have their location on. They're being tracked like fucking chips, like they're microchips right now, kind of like my dog. Like, you know, I chipped her just because I'm like, just in case you get out. But to your point, it's like the emotional intelligence, the EQ of just our society now. I'm hoping it's going to get raised up due to more emotional regulation, more nervous system, and men to actually talk about their feelings and why they're anxious. And like even using the word like managing stress and anxiety will probably put stress and anxiety on a man that's never looked at himself in the mirror and recognized that he has feelings.
You're hitting a nail. You're nailing it. I mean, look, here's the reality. When you look at the top 10 reasons why humans die, Americans in particular, because we got the 2020 census, which was the last census. You look at the top 10 reasons now, fentanyl has inched its way up since, COVID has come since, right? I mean, there's a variety of different things that have shifted that slightly. But if you look at the 10 top reasons for all-cause mortality in the 2020 census, 6 out of 10 of them are rooted in stress and anxiety. You remove the stress, you remove the anxiety, those top 6 reasons for death go away. These are health and wellness problems, chronic ailments and issues that eventually lead to death that are exacerbated by stress and anxiety. You remove the stress and anxiety, and those are not threats anymore to all-cause mortality. That, to me, is a screaming revelation of what we need to do to manage that stress and anxiety. And you're right. A lot of people just hearing the word, I help people with stress and anxiety, get triggered. With more stress and more anxiety, just thinking about and ruminating in the stress and anxiety that they have, and they have no idea how to do anything about it.
I feel like we're getting better. We're getting better. We're getting closer.
We both look at Dave, and he's like,
I'm getting better.
We are getting better. Look, that's the reality. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better and better. Every day in every way, I'm getting stronger and stronger and stronger. My daughter says that every night before we go to bed. I am strong. I am powerful. I am loved. I am safe. Bless your sleep. That's how we go to bed every night.
I love it.
That is amazing.
It's what we need to tell ourselves to condition ourselves for the negative self-talk and the ego that is designed specifically to keep us alive. Our nervous system is designed to keep us alive. The nervous system is the extension of the 5 senses. Touch, taste, smell, sight, hearing. It's constantly evaluating the signals that it's getting back and triggering an alert to us when something feels off. A backfiring truck in the background that you think might be a gunshot. I mean, you got PTSD. There might be, there might not be, especially from exploding and sounds from being on the battlefield. I don't have that. But my nervous system still gets triggered. And whether it's mental, emotional, physical, nutritional, financial, it doesn't matter what kind of stress my nervous system evaluates. The negative self-talk in my head that's designed to keep me alive starts to ruminate. It starts to focus on that. The dopamine starts to hit. The cortisol starts to increase. The adrenaline starts to increase. And before you know it, you're in that full sympathetic nervous system response, otherwise known as fight or flight, otherwise known as survival mode.
Yeah.
And when you're triggered into that all day, every day, day after day, week after week, month after month, of course you're going to start to develop these chronic ailments and issues because your body has a different set of priorities when you're in survival mode than when you're in rest and digest or calm and relaxed. So what sound and vibration does in harmony in our entire business is built around giving you something that you can do physically to kick in that parasympathetic or that calm and relaxed nervous system response and re-regulate your nervous system.
Re-regulate. I love that.
Because so many of us have a dysregulated nervous system that is constantly triggered by the most silly things that aren't actually life-threatening, but we evaluate them as life-threatening, and we immediately go into that fight or flight or that survival mode. When you call it survival mode instead of fight or flight, all of a sudden you realize, well, yeah, you back a raccoon or a dog, even the most docile, loving dog into a corner, it will get vicious.
Yeah.
It changes its thought pattern. It goes into that survival mode, and all of a sudden it's not so cute and huggy. It's going to bite and claw and scratch its way out of that corner so that it can get itself out of and rescue itself. And when you're in that survival mode, your body is not maintaining itself. It's turning off important processes that regulate the body, like digestion, like your immune system, like your reproductive organs, like rational thinking. All of these heavy processes that are designed for otherwise peak performance and maintenance get put to the wayside because now the body is in survival mode. And the cool thing about vibroacoustic therapy and what we do it in harmony, I call it relaxation from the outside in. When you lay down and you listen to these music meditations that we've created, and you're doing it on a delivery system like a sound lounge or our practitioner to our massage table, you're presenting the body with specific frequencies that calm and relax the nervous system. You're hearing the same thing you're feeling. Every mechanoreceptor in your body, that's your sense of touch, is sending the same signal to the brain that that your auditory nerve is. This turns off 2 out of 5 of your senses. It puts your nervous system in a relaxed state. Careful. It puts your nervous system, now all of a sudden it goes, cool, I can relax a little bit. Those signals that are coming in that I'm used to interpreting as a threat aren't. It's peaceful music. It's calming. It's relaxing. And now all of a sudden we can kick in the chemical cascades associated with parasympathetic, and you can do it on command. Because you lay down, you push play, you put on the headphones, you put on the eye mask. 22 minutes later, you get up and you go, cool, I feel great. All right, let's go charge life, calm and relaxed instead of stressed and anxious. Same problems, same external stimuli. I haven't changed anything about your outside world. I've simply changed how you're approaching it. And that's the magic of what we do. And you can do this. You don't need my technology to do it. You can stream our music meditations through YouTube. You can download our app and you can stream it through there. But all you need to do is begin to have the intention of, I'm going to calm and relax. Breath work is phenomenal. Comedy is phenomenal. There's lots of different outlets that we can do to lighten our load and lighten the way we look at life. I haven't found anything that's as powerful as sound and vibration.
I went through a whole phase in like 2016 once I started leaning into like Reiki and sound and like 432s. And I had to get these CDs that are in beta waves. But it only was available to be on like a Walkman pretty much. So I had to go to like Walmart and look for a Walkman because I'm like, when is the last time I bought a CD purposely and then had to try to play it somewhere in my house?
The CD man.
And like the car doesn't come with
my computer doesn't even have a CD player
anymore. And they're like, well, you shouldn't listen
not.
to this while you're driving. I'm like, okay, good point.
I don't recommend my music while driving.
So I bought a Walkman, and I'm laying there every night because I was on edge all the time. And like the industry, like the events that I was in, I was like off the ledge, like about to jump off anytime. But I think my body's just so used to that. And I think that's how a lot of us are thriving in chaotic environments.
You nailed it. I can't even tell you how many people I talk to and they're like, oh, no, I thrive in a stress and anxiety state. And I'm like, please stop saying that.
But when I'm by myself, I'm freaking out
but
because
your body
I'm like,
doesn't.
Well, look, we can go and go and go, and the body can sustain. Look, we are resilient. I mean, unbelievably resilient. We will survive. We're all here, alive and well, smiling, with great complexions, laughing, having a good time. And I know as soon as you walk out of this studio, we all have the stress and strain of life because it's the same society. We all have cars. They have to go to registration. I got people staying in an RV on my property right now, and the batteries died in the middle of the night. I'm leaving here to go deal with that. That just came up out of nowhere. They're brand new batteries from this summer. Everything should be working perfectly. And I'm like, hey, guys, how'd you sleep? They're like, well, it was 25 degrees, 28 degrees last night. They're like, well, the heat turned off around 3 in the morning. And I'm like, I am sorry. And they were like, no, we slept great. It's all good. It was like camping. I was like, all right, that's cool. I still need to fix it by tonight, right?
Yeah.
So we have the stress and strain of life that we need to go deal with. We become so conditioned of hustling and pushing through and powering through that state that we almost forgot what it feels like to relax. This is the magic of my technology, which you've experienced so many times. And even in a 5-minute demo at a studio, like where we met 2 years ago,
I can still escape.
You can feel the layers of relaxation come over you when you're listening to our music meditations and you're laying on our sound lounge, which is our most powerful device. But in a very short period of time, you will feel that relaxation and you will be reminded of what it feels like to relax. Very similar to you with the Walkman and listening to the music. Your body is basically a big antenna. We are constantly coming into and out of what's called harmonic resonance with the frequencies that we're presented with. If you're not tending to your garden, then you're just dealing with whatever frequencies those are. The electricity that's pulsing through all these lights, the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, all of the different things, other people's energies, other people's thought patterns, we're constantly picking up and giving that off. And when you begin to present your body with the right frequencies, the right tones, and keeping yourself in that calm and relaxed state, you begin to hold that better, longer, and on your own. And we all know when you show up someplace cool, calm, and collected, you wake up after a great night's sleep, there's really not much life can throw at you that you can't handle.
Yeah.
But you have that shitty night's sleep where my daughter woke me up in the middle of the night, my puppy wouldn't sleep, and last night my puppy was throwing up. Like,
Oh, no.
now all of a sudden, you know, fuck, the littlest thing throws me into a tailspin. My wife even this morning, she's like, are you okay? My wife is fighting off a cold, so I'm like, hey, you need to get back in bed, just relax. I'll take Harmony to school. I'll meet with my accounting team. I'll meet with my web dev team. Then I'll go give blood. Then I got to get dressed. Then I got to make sure I'm clean shaven because I know there's going to be a video camera on me. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I just got a lot going on. I'm going to power through it. I got this.
Yep.
Go relax. Go rest, right? I'm going to take care of this. And then I'm going to find time to get on the sound lounge. Then I'm going to find time to rest and relax at some point. And then I'm back in front of the camera again tomorrow to do it all over again.
And you just described most of our lives that people they can't break it down because I think the new age world now, it's throwing optimization on a human level of like, this is how you optimize your day. I'm like, don't treat your body like a machine. Like, go back to the basics.
Yeah.
Sleep, nutrition, movement. It doesn't have to be like an hour of this, 15 minutes of this, go meditate. And I'm like, people are so anxiously
No, you squeeze it in where you can. But you can also use
optimize.
technology, right? So it's interesting. My wife and I look at each other. My wife is healthy most of the time. She's not fighting off a cold, which is a great sign for the body to slow down and for you to get in bed and take a little bit more time for yourself and slow down. When we're go, 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 we're hustling. And it's people that are our age that have a different, it's almost like we have a different gear ratio of what we can get done in the day, just to use a car, right? Like we just go, go, go. And then I rest. And when my head hits that pillow at midnight, I sleep like a baby. I mean, I'm out like a rock.
Yeah.
And then I wake up at 7 a.m. and I'm like, cool, let's go.
Yeah.
What's this morning going to throw at me and how am I going to go?
Well rested.
Well rested. I sleep like a rock. I feel fantastic. And this has to do with all the different things that I do. The food that I eat, the light that I'm exposed to, the morning sunshine that I get, the grounding that I do. All the different practices, having access to in harmony and frequencies and sound. Absolutely. Once you find that routine of what works for you, you can charge the day and just get after it. But to your point, I feel like a lot of folks that are younger than us lack that drive. They lack that let's go get it done kind of attitude at times and fall victim to this society that is compressed upon us every single day. And I want to inspire people to get after it. I want to inspire people to get that great night's sleep so they can charge the next day and then rinse and repeat the day after that by giving our body what it needs to live optimally and to operate the way it was so beautifully designed to operate. And when you're coming from a place of stress and anxiety, you're in that fight or flight all day long, you just feel crippled. I've been there, which is why, you know, it's funny. I tell people all the time, like, I use my tech every single day. I listen to my frequencies and I stream them through my whole house every single day. And I am very much a product, like Anthony, who creates all of our music, he comes out with a new music meditation. I am running to my sound lounge to try it.
Nice.
Like, because I want to experience it, because I need it, because it fills my cup. I think it was like the Hair Club for Men, who was like, I'm not just a client, I'm not just the president, I'm also a client.
Also a member,
right? Here we go, Dave, me and you, we get it. But like,
I'm just a member.
I have a nervous system and I manage this stuff every single day. And you're either going to fall victim to the way society imprints upon you, or you're going to stand up and you're going to do something about it. And I want to empower people to do something about it.
Well, there's a big issue of mortality here, because I saw this thing and now I can't unsee it, right? It's like for anybody that graduated in the 90s, like we're really starting to see who took care of themselves and who didn't.
Yeah.
And it's like, dang, and I grew up in Oklahoma, meat and potatoes, all that stuff. I've gotten a lot more
meat and
into
potatoes.
Right, yeah.
Real meat and potatoes.
Well, but
Grass-fed,
still,
pasture
but there's
raised.
also a lot of bad stuff that they still served with it that just wasn't great. So
Gravy.
coming here, lots of gravy.
Tastes so good.
Yeah, dude.
Put it on everything.
Side note, rant. Everywhere you get biscuits and gravy in Las Vegas, it's like $17,
Unreal.
and it's so insane because
Inflation,
in Oklahoma.
baby.
In Oklahoma,
It's
it's
like
like,
$4.
oh, you get
Just on the table.
You get sides with that. Do you want toast or biscuits and gravy? And it was
Totally.
like you get biscuits and gravy for free.
Yeah.
They're free.
Back to earth.
Dude, the win
Back to earth.
the
Back
win
to earth.
buffet is like $90.
Yeah, for biscuits and gravy. Oh yeah.
Well, you get
you
crab
for the whole
and-
thing.
Yeah, for the whole deal.
Goodness.
But no, so to that point, it's very interesting because, like you and people for the people, I almost said it 4 times in this interview, but I thrive in chaos.
No, stop
I
saying that. Please
was
stop saying
conditioned. I was I was conditioned to survive in chaos at a much higher level as a United States Marine.
Yes, you are.
However,
Yes, you
my
are.
body one day will say, "I'm done." It just will, and it's going to be a combination of all the things that I've put it through, all the continuous amounts of those stress.
So we work with a ton
Yep.
of frontline workers, first responders, and military.
Yep.
And there's different ways that we work with people in the military in particular. First of all, sound and vibration, the sound wave and a compression wave from ordnance are very similar. So sound tables can actually, if you're a veteran, if you're a first responder, if you're somebody that has dealt with that, be cautious when you get on our sound lounge and be aware of that. And
You
we as
never told me that. I'm just
practitioners
kidding.
need to know. Yeah, we had a conversation
did.
about it. And look, even taking away your eyes and your ears and your sense of touch and presenting the body with sound and vibration, that can trigger you. So we want to be cautious that maybe the first time you lay down, we don't put the mask on. Maybe we don't put the headphones. We use the built-in speakers. Maybe we lower the volume and the vibration. You're right. There is nothing like boot camp to condition you to work and operate in a high-stress environment, which we can totally do.
Yeah.
The reality is we just need to do something that can dissipate that and have something that can release that. So you can get, look, you need to be conditioned that way because combat, I've had bullets whiz past my head. You need to know that when that happens, that you can keep and maintain your decision making and your team where they are and your situational awareness. That has to be trained and conditioned into what you're doing. So yeah, there's a lot that comes into that. And yes, we are resilient and we can do a lot in a short period of time, and we can sustain high stress tempos for short and long periods of time, but we need to do something that matters that.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, like I said, one day, no matter what, everybody's body's going to stop, or it's going to create something that will help it stop sooner, like cancers and things like that. So it's just all real talk.
And we might find crutches, right? Substance abuse is a very real thing. Addiction is a very real thing. It's not just the things that you listed that we get addicted to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can get addicted to food. You can get addicted to environments. You can get addicted to there's lots of
Social
different
media
things.
has been the new it's like kind of like the new awakening that people finally realize, but they can't get off of it because it's ingrained in like the whole system of like understanding. But
so here's the cool part about vibroacoustic therapy. It breaks the patterns associated with our addictions. Yeah. So we work a lot with addiction facilities and places that work with addiction. Now, look, talk therapy is important. Sometimes drug interventions are important. Sometimes there's a lot of different things that go into whatever addiction you're working through. However, vibroacoustic therapy is really powerful to break those patterns and shake them out of the body so that they're no longer in the physical body. And they can be, I know we're going for a long time, which I absolutely love. But sound and vibration is really powerful to break the patterns that are stored in our physical body so that the mental and the emotional body can then work through that, release them, reframe them, and push forward with either new addictions, because we're all addicted to something.
Oh, yeah.
And we can have positive addictions just like we can have negative addictions.
Yep.
to call it obsession, but you know,
Yeah.
You know,
it's a nice
hey.
PR term. No, like something I want to bring back on the table because I know this conversation in the way that it's going, like I love conscious leadership, but something that you mentioned in the beginning, it's sobriety, and we're all sitting at this table on different levels of sobriety. So I think that would be a great segue in terms of what we can do with part 2, because that's something that's been sitting on my heart for a very long time. I feel called to do it, and I think we shared this platform together, and we're kind of like pulling others within our means. On
sober, like California sober, or Colorado sober, or like sober.
So the alcohol part,
sober.
The alcohol has been the biggest leap for me. Right, I just celebrated 1 year, January 1st.
Good
so it's
almost 10 for me.
Yeah, it really does start to wake up. Like you're challenged with different things at different times.
So here's the cool part about this, and I definitely want to come back for a way deeper dive into this. I am amazed, and we're going to see this change probably in the next 4 years, but certainly in our lifetime. I am blown away that alcohol is legal.
Yeah.
I know what it does to the brain. Just do a quick Google search on Dr. Amen and figure out the brain scans that he's done and the impact that alcohol and caffeine has had on the brain. I get it. Alcohol is one of the worst substances that you can put into your body. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, nutritionally, you name it, it rots the body for 72 hours after it was last consumed. So it's not even like, this is a decision I'm making tonight. This is a decision I'm making tonight that's going to impact me for the next 72 hours. And the odds of you having another drink in the next 72 hours are unbelievably high.
Yeah.
So for me, I've probably had 3 glasses of wine in the last 12 months. I've probably had 2 or 3 glasses of mezcal or high-end tequila. I'm not sober, but I made a decision that I wasn't going to consume alcohol because it wasn't serving me anymore.
Yeah.
And I've drank enough for 3 lifetimes is what I tell people. I was New York City hospitality. I drank 7 days a week. I mean, I literally,
I was a bartender for many
it's
years.
just too much, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm good. Now, I asked if you were Cali sober or Colorado sober because I happen to like cannabis at different times. I love hemp. I enjoy that on a regular basis. There are things that I might use to achieve altered states of consciousness. Ketamine therapy has been a breakthrough for me. Other ceremonial, psychedelic therapy has been fantastic for me, both ceremonial and recreational. And it has helped my neurology. It has helped me from an alchemy perspective to shift my biochemistry, create and open up more neural pathways, more neuroplasticity, giving me the ability to learn and articulate in a different way, giving me different perspective in a way that alcohol will never do that. So that's why I asked what level of sobriety, because I've even sat with people that call themselves sober, go to the meetings that still require them to be sober, and yet they're consuming different substances that bring them into an altered state.
Yeah.
And they call it different things. Look, we're all on our own journey. You can call it whatever you want. You sleep good at night, that's all good. I'm not here to judge anybody. But at the end of the day, there's different. Look, even caffeine. Caffeine's a drug.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You look at tobacco products and nicotine. Nicotine's been touted, especially through COVID, to be a powerful aspect of keeping people away from COVID and not susceptible to COVID. There have been some really powerful things that have come out. Absolutely. Now, smoking tobacco is obviously more carcinogenic than chewing it or taking a tab or taking a patch. There's lots of different ways that you can get nicotine into the body. Look, you can eat eggplant and broccoli. They have nicotine in them. Most of us don't realize that nicotine is actually in the foods that we consume. It's something that we need in the human body.
Hell yeah.
We have receptors for it for a reason. Just like we do with cannabinoid receptors.
It's just the medium of smoking causes... comes with more.
It can. It might not. I just did. I gave blood not today, but I'm giving blood next Wednesday, and I'm doing a Grail test. Grail is one of the earliest testing for 50 different types of cancer in the body. So I'll come back and maybe I'll report back on my results.
There we go.
No,
We'll
take
see
me
what
with
that
you
looks
to the blood
like.
test. I need more
It was
blood
like,
work.
look,
friends.
functions $500 a year. It was $900 for the Grail test. That test used to be $5,000.
I have a random question. So
Sure.
Do you want to split a cow?
Sure.
Looking for more
I'm
cow
down.
splitting friends.
I buy my meat online. I was vegan for 3 years, and now as long as it's pasture raised, pasture finished, and as long as that cow ate what a cow is supposed to eat, I will honor it. And as long as it's grown sustainably, harvested sustainably, killed in a healthy manner,
Humane way.
That's the word I was looking for.
He knows I've been looking for more.
Yeah, I'm down to
More
going on a cow. I'll take the fillet. Maybe the shoulder.
He's like, oh, here we go again.
That's great.
Look, you can get a half a cow for $3,000, $3,500.
Yeah.
That's
They're
pasture raised, pasture finished, regeneratively farmed, and humanely killed.
And wild seafood only for me.
That's
too,
the
so
meat that
it's-
we're supposed to be consuming.
Yeah.
Cows aren't supposed to eat grain. They're not supposed to be fattened up.
We're not supposed to eat grains.
We're
either.
not.
That's a different topic. I
Totally
can go
different
off on
conversation.
that for a
I
day.
love this.
Well,
When are we coming back?
yeah.
Let's go.
I'm gonna text you, be like,
In
"Hey,
the-
can I come to blood work with you?"
Yeah,
And
let's do it.
Just go to a cow ranch.
Yeah.
in the
Why not?
meantime, where can people find you? How do they connect with you? And where do they go?
I'm one of the easiest people to find on the internet. So my company is In Harmony Interactive. My website is iaminharmony.com. Two most powerful words in the English language. I am, because whatever you put after it, you are. So why not be in harmony with the world around
that.
you? My phone number is literally at the top of my website.
Love it.
Literally, what rings my cell phone with my extension, top of my website. We're on all the platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, blah blah blah. So I'm the guy that responds to the direct messages, and I'm the guy that responds to the comments. I'm very proud of that.
There
I
you
love
go.
that. You do your own stunts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do your own
I got a
stuff.
team that helps me do a lot,
Yeah.
but the stuff that I think is most important
The most
is talking to
meaningful.
people about vibroacoustic therapy. Frankly, the feedback that I hear every single day fuels me. Being an entrepreneur is not easy,
Yeah.
as I know you know. So that grind, I get to show up stronger and more powerfully when somebody tells me the accolades that they give me day in and day out about how our technology helps, about the impact that it's had in their business, their family, their community. That's the stuff that lights me up, and I like hearing it firsthand.
I love that. I wanted to ask you a question. What are you reading right now? Are you reading anything cool?
I don't read nearly as much as I would like to. I consume content. Most of the content that I consume is through ChatGPT,
Cool.
and through blogs, podcasts, and that sort of thing.
I was reading a book,
short form
and
content.
everyone's hit a couple elements on it. It's a lot heavier than I thought. I didn't realize it's 9 hours, but it's Seth Godin's new book. Seth is always
Seth's amazing.
great, but
Seth's
this one's
great.
called This Is Strategy, and it's so weird because it's like sprinkled parts of strategy, but it's just so much about humanity and the way people
I'm in.
behave. It's so
Look, I'm
good.
listening.
He's
I'm
so
listening to Peter Attia, Andrew Huberman. I'm
Attia.
listening to Dr. Jack Cruz. I'm listening to people that are pioneering things in the biohacking world. I'm listening to Alex Hormozi and Layla. I'm listening to Dave Asprey. I'm listening to the people that are pushing forward, and I'm digesting it in a manner which for me is auditory and listening
Same.
on a regular basis and short form. I scroll through TikTok. I scroll through Instagram. Micro learning, it's a thing. And I try and keep myself away from the stuff that's not educational.
Yeah.
Look, I have a Ram 2500. I pull things. So last night I was down a rabbit hole of looking at trailers and learning about it's
you're
how I
only
learn.
human.
I call it research,
Yeah.
right?
And I would definitely recommend this one too. I'll send it to you. There's a woman. Her name's Kathy Heller. I don't know if you're familiar with her.
familiar.
There's not very many men in her space.
Cool.
And it's not. I think it just kind of naturally happened, but. She talks about frequency. I heard this podcast with her where she was she was on Mark Grove's podcast. I love Mark.
Mark's awesome.
And when she framed it up, she was like, I did this big retreat. It was like 900 women. Mark was the only guy who was invited. Yeah. And so I listened to that podcast, and like about halfway through it, you said frequencies, and you said Wi-Fi, and she goes, it's like if I put a radio on the table. And as soon as she said that, I was like a boombox. And it was just like, it just opened up my whole soul. I was like, this is why I've been carrying boomboxes. And she says, it's not about the law of attraction. It's about the law of reception. And you have to turn it on. Then you have to tune in, but you can listen to all these things, but it's always there. It's always all around us. And to that point, what you talk about when the algorithms and stuff, they're showing you the stuff about pulling your trailer, it's because it's giving you the clues to be more effective about what you do, which is you go out in an RV and you make a very significant impact in the world.
I search it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So like I just got back from a 22-day trip in a fifth wheel.
Yep.
Well, I never traveled across country in a fifth wheel. I did it in a motorhome.
Yep.
So for 2-3 weeks ahead of that trip, I'm searching like fifth wheel best practices, traveling with a family in a fifth wheel, pulling a fifth wheel with a 2500, weights, right? So like we're programming that algorithm, and we take responsibility for the search terms and the things that we give attention to, and it reflects back to us those things so that it holds our attention and we will look more, because presumably those are the things that we're interested in. So I think a lot of people want to play victim. They want to think that, oh, the algorithm is the algorithm. The algorithm is being programmed by the actions that you're taking and the things that you're doing. It is you.
It's a mirror of you.
That's right. So
Everything's
if you
a
don't like the
reflection
things
of
you're seeing, then start looking for different things.
It's true.
Like the conversations we have is a mirror reflection of
Probably
what we
how
are.
people got here in the first place.
I love it. Well, I feel like that's a wrap, and we'll definitely have to bring you back for another episode, my friend.
Like I can go for days on this topic. Oh my
I love
goodness.
it. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure. And let's go Vegas.
Thank you so much for being here. Well, guys, that's enough from us. I think. I know we're gonna deep dive into part 2. Please reach out to myself, Dave, Craig, all over social media. Find us online. Tell us how we can help you, connect you with anybody in this town, and yeah.
We'll pick you up from the airport.
We'll pick you up from the
They'll
airport.
pick you
There
up
it
from
is.
the airport.
And the idea of Pursue Vegas was to really highlight the local people that really make Vegas Vegas.
I love that aspect of how these visionaries are actually bringing people together.
When we hit record, our responsibility is to connect the people of our city so we can show the world who we really are.